Hello everyone, friends. Today we're going to talk about a very relevant topic in the United States of America. I want to tell you about the principle of a truly brilliant and simple idea that could completely change the immigration system of the United States. An idea where there is no need to deport millions of undocumented migrants, no need to spend billions on removals, and where migrants become not a problem, but a resource. Let me say right away, friends, that this is not my personal idea. And in fact, there isn't a single creator of this idea in the US. No one person who came up with it. Basically, it's an entire set of similar and related concepts that at different times have been proposed by various senators, different associations of mayors, and human rights programs and organizations. I'm just going to tell you about this idea, and you can judge its realism and practicality in the comments. So here's how this idea goes. Relocation, rather than deportation, is now being considered as a new approach to addressing the ongoing migration crisis in the United States. If you regularly follow American politics, then of course you already know that every year the United States federal government spends tens of billions of dollars on the deportation of migrants. In recent years, the United States has spent more on immigration enforcement than ever before in history. For the year 2024, the Biden administration formally requested nearly $25 billion in total funding from Congress for the United States Customs and Border Protection, as well as the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The cost of mass deportations also amounts to approximately $88 billion per year for the United States of America. The cost of a program aimed at arresting, detaining, processing, and deporting 1 million people per year averages $88 billion annually, which amounts to a total cost of $967.9 billion over more than a decade. And all of this, friends, is just to send people back to places where essentially they have no jobs and no protection. Many of these people are already working in the United States. Their children go to school, they pay taxes, and they lead law-abiding lives. So why not direct this money toward a solution that would help both the migrants and the United States itself? Imagine, instead of expelling or deporting migrants from the US, the government creates a national system for the competent allocation of these people, where each person can legally move to the part of the United States where they are truly needed, where they are awaited, and where their skills and labor are in demand. In principle, to implement this idea, only 3 simple steps are needed, which are outlined in the concepts I mentioned above. The first step is to directly ask the cities themselves, specifically to consult with the mayors of these cities about what kinds of specialists they currently need and what types of specialists they are lacking. For example, do they need nurses, electricians, teachers, construction workers, drivers, or laborers? And each city faces its own distinct and different problems accordingly in ensuring its continued and effective functioning. For example, Detroit currently lacks enough skilled builders and experienced technicians. Iowa, on the other hand, is experiencing a shortage of qualified medical staff and dedicated healthcare workers. California is short on essential agricultural workers, and New York needs more people who are able to work in elder care. And so cities submit requests specifying which vacancies they need to fill, what specialists they require, and how many of these specialists are needed, and accordingly, they offer living conditions for these people who may move to these cities in the future. This is the first step. The second step is the creation of a national online platform. Migrants who are already in the United States of America will then know that such a national online platform has been created. They will fill out a questionnaire there indicating the cities they would like to move to from their current location, for example. That is, the cities they would prefer to choose. On the other hand, the cities also get access to this online platform, they get access to these questionnaires, and officials review these profiles, selecting candidates who, for example, meet their requirements in certain areas of public life, such as work and so on. For example, a small town in Wisconsin sees that it needs, say, 200 qualified electricians. They can be invited from Texas or New Mexico. And for instance, this town can offer them jobs and housing right after their application is approved. And the third step is control and balance so that no city is overloaded. the federal government at the federal level sets quotas. This way, each community, each city takes in exactly as many people as it can realistically provide with, for example, jobs, schools, and infrastructure, so that there isn't this kind of administrative overload. Migrants who submit applications pay a small administrative fee to cover essentially things like paperwork and registration. And people will pay, and after their application is approved, for example, these people move legally on a legal basis to the city they have chosen, and essentially they already have a job and housing which accordingly will be arranged in advance. So basically these are 3 steps that can be implemented. And as many authors of this concept say, the migration problem should be resolved. The American budget will save a lot of money. Why do many authors of this concept believe that this is one of the best options, one of the best ways to solve the problems with migrants? Because essentially everyone benefits from it. The American government will save billions of dollars. There will be no need to spend money on deportations. Cities will get new workers, and accordingly, specialists. These workers will work, pay taxes, and help develop the economy of each respective city. And as for the migrants, they will get a chance at a legal life, stability, and safety in the United States of America. So essentially, this is neither chaos nor any kind of repression. This is a solution where humanity meets sound pragmatism. In fact, there are already examples of this in real modern life. Actually, this concept and idea is absolutely not science fiction, and it's not new. There are already similar models in Europe, not the same, but similar ones. For example, since 2016, Germany has had a program for distributing refugees among its federal states. That's what it's called. This program determines how many people each federal state in Germany can accept, based on economic and social indicators, for example. As for Canada, for example, Canada also has a similar program. In Canada, migrants apply to provincial programs where the regions themselves select the specialists they need. This is more or less the Canadian model, and accordingly Spain also has such a program. There, rural regions specifically create so-called revival villages, relocating immigrants to these revival villages. These revival villages are usually located in sparsely populated areas where labor is needed and the local population does not want to settle or move there. So mainly all of this is made possible thanks to migrants. And in principle, this works, well, let's say with mixed success, but it is a functioning model in Europe. But deporting such a large number of people from the US is essentially a dead end. Deportation solves absolutely nothing. It is very expensive, it is cruel, and it is absolutely ineffective. According to Pew Research, out of 14 million undocumented migrants in the US, more than half have already been living in the United States for over 10 years. These people are not criminals. They are drivers, nannies, farmers, builders. And these people are, in fact, needed by the American economy because they live here, pay taxes, and earn their living through honest work, which helps the American economy develop and prosper. As for the legal perspective, in principle, this relocation plan, instead of deportation, does not require any amendments to the US Constitution or, for example, any kind of revolution. It does not require flexibility in legislation, for example, regarding residency status. That is, it can simply be implemented through some temporary, for example, work visas tied to a specific region, right? Or, for example, grant some kind of humanitarian status with the right to relocate these people, with the right to work. And for instance, municipal agreements can be made between cities and the federal government. So basically, there's no need to change anything here. You just need to develop a legislative and regulatory framework, adopt it, and implement it. That's all. It will all work. Such tools already exist as well. Do we just need to combine them into something and build a system out of it? And of course, we hear in the US, and not only in the US, that migration needs to be stopped, it needs to be curbed, and so on. But in reality, that's impossible to do. There were migrants 100 years ago, there are migrants now, and there will be migrants in the future if this issue is approached incompetently. Migration essentially is a part of the global world. People are constantly moving from one country to another, looking for a new life, and so on. And the only reasonable way is to manage migration, not to fight against it. Relocation, not deportation. Friends, what do you think of this concept I just described? Would you support this program of relocating migrants instead of deporting them? Or do you think that the United States should simply close the border and, as is currently being done under Trump's policy, deport everyone, expel everyone, kick everyone out, and so on? What do you think about this topic? Please write your opinion in the comments.